Welcome to the Magdalene Voices, giving voice to those silenced for centuries through sacred conversations with beautiful, illuminating souls. I am your host and facilitator, Maria Estella. I serve radiant beings just like you, committed to awakening through love and the deep sacred work required to not only unveil the truth of who you are, what you are, and why you came, but also to express that truth and knowledge through the work that you do in this world. If you haven't already, I highly encourage you to join my sacred circle to stay connected and updated. You can do so on my website, mariaestella.com. I currently offer sacred journeys for soulful entrepreneurs and Magdalenes Rising, wanting to embrace, embody, and express their divine feminine and divine masculine essences of being and doing, as well as work deeply with their shadow aspects, ultimately serving the world in its unveiling, awakening, healing, enlightenment, and ascension. In my sacred journeys, I not only facilitate, but I also catalyze the expression of your soul's divine purpose, supporting you in bringing forth that which you are here to birth. If you're curious about my work, go to mariaestella.com to find out more. And if you have ever wondered about your own personal Magdalene connection and calling, whether you are a Magdalene or not, I invite you to download the Magdalene Blueprint that I have created for you. Go to mariaestella.com/AYM to get it. Today I am joined by Deepa Ramachandran. Deepa is a Chicago-based licensed certified public accountant and money consciousness expert. She has owned her own CPA firm since 2008 and serves clients in the Chicagoland area and 32 other states in the US, as well as work with overseas clients and international tax issues. She focuses on building long-term client relationships through proactive solutions and excellent customer service. Deepa's firm specializes in accounting, payroll, and the entire range of tax services for businesses and their owners, as well as helping clients understand their tax returns, plan for major life changes, and create a tax plan for life. Deepa is also a money consciousness expert and consultant. She guides female entrepreneurs and career professionals towards money empowerment via her proprietary system, the 7 Levels of Money Consciousness. Many Magdalenes Rising struggle with money and finances, and in today's episode, Deepa shares her wisdom, her knowledge, and extensive experience, as well as show us how our journey with money is deeply intertwined with the 7 chakras. Deepa stands before us as a beautiful example of a Magdalene Rising, someone who's made the journey from her mind into her heart and is blending both in the most beautiful sacred marriage. She's vibrating, resonating, and expanding from that place in a field that typically has been dominated by the logical mind, thus creating fertile ground for powerful healing and transformation for us all. Here is our sacred conversation. Deepa, a very big and warm welcome to the Magdalene Voices. I am honored and grateful that you have taken time out of your busy schedule to do this, because I know that even though we're recording this after April, the middle of April, but I know you're still in the middle of tax season for a lot of people. So I value you really much for taking the time to be here. One of the things, or one of the most, I don't know how to say this, infected or infested or touchy subjects for a soul-driven, heart-based entrepreneur is money. And your CPA, who's made the journey from her mind into the heart, and have made some discoveries that I am very much looking forward to have you share here today. And one of them has to do with what you call money consciousness and the 7 levels of money consciousness. And I'm going to leave the floor to you and let you take the reins and talk us, because what is that? What does that entail? Tell us.
Well, first of all, I'm honored to be here. So thank you for having me here. And so I'm a CPA, and I'm also, I call myself, I don't call myself a money coach. I call myself a money consciousness expert, because I'm not looking to tell people what to do. I'm looking for people to figure out how to empower themselves around money.
Yes.
And you're right. Money is one of the most touchy, one of the most difficult things for us as women to deal with. And here's my theory on that. Men have been breadwinners since, I don't know, hunter-gatherer times. They've been the ones who've gone out and brought the food in, or gone and earned the money for us to eat, right? So they have generations, century upon century of breadwinning and having that provider protector mentality, which is directly tied to money, right? So they know, they have their way of doing it, and it's so encoded into their DNA that when a young boy, when someone has a baby boy now, encoded in his DNA is how to provide, protect, and bring home the money. For us women, if you think back to as early as you can, we were caretakers, nurturers, caretakers, and we took care and we managed and handled the food that the men brought in, right? So we never had a say in how to go get it. We only had a say in how to take care of it once it came in. If you go back into like the Middle Ages, the Victorian era, women were expected to just sit around and be at leisure. And we weren't expected to, we had to manage the household, but we never really managed the money or anything. So move forward to today, and we're maybe 2 generations into the workforce, and we find ourselves in a place where, one, we are earning money, but we have no self-worth or self-esteem or confidence around it. And 2, once we earn the money, we know how to spend it, but we don't quite know how to manage it or make it grow. So we are very ill-equipped in the money side. And as a CPA, as a female CPA in a male-dominated world, or if you will allow me to say so, as a brown woman in a world of white males, it's been quite the ride. I love numbers. My family always encouraged me to be my own person, always gave me the ability to make my own decisions. And my husband is that way too. He loves that I'm independent and I do my own thing. So as a woman with a lot of opinions in this world, I realized that when I look at my client base, 95% of them are men. So I prepare taxes and accounting statements for a living. 95% of the people I work with are men. The man in the family is the one who comes to me for that work. And so I started thinking, I'm like, well, where are the women? Where are the women? And so I started asking them to bring the women in with them, and they wouldn't come. Because either they don't want to be bothered with it, it's too scary, that kind of thing. So that's when I realized that we lack money consciousness. And what money consciousness is 2 parts. It's the part where you go earn the money, which I will call more of the feminine side, because earning money is a creative process, right? It's getting a skill, it's figuring out how to create something that you can exchange for money. So it's a very creative process, which is primarily a very feminine process. And then once we have that, then it's to manage it, make it grow, invest it, which is more of a masculine side. It's do your taxes, it's get your financial statements. That's the masculine side. And while we're not comfortable with either, while we know how to earn, we have skills that will help us go earn the money. We're not fully in our full confidence when we do that. And then when we get the money, we don't want to be bothered to account for it, to do our taxes, to plan for it. We don't want to be bothered with that side because it's too intimidating. So while we're okay being in the feminine side of it, we absolutely do not want to be bothered with the masculine side of it. So my whole thing with coming in as a money consciousness expert is, let's figure out how we can do it. We're very powerful people on this planet.
Yes.
We can get more comfortable with the creative side, but we can also figure out how to do the managing, the masculine side our way. Yes. It doesn't have to be the way the men do it. And that's all the example we have right now, right? Yeah. We try to do things the way men do it and we burn out. Yeah. I don't run my practice the way a man would run a CPA practice. I run it my way, and that's what fills my soul.
Yeah.
So we've got to go figure out what that is. And so that's my interpretation of this money consciousness journey.
Yeah.
For us women.
Can I just, because when you were speaking, I had these for some reason what was brought up was like when the women first quote unquote rose in the in the 70s or in the 60s, when they began rising and they began reclaiming the workspaces and coming out and being workers and earning, what I see, and this is my perspective on it, was that even though they were women, they were doing it in a very quote unquote masculine way, because that's the way that we've seen it. And when you talk about the money consciousness and the earning and the managing, what I'm also hearing is that it seems to me that there's a direct correlation to that as well, because the same way that the women back in the 70s, in the 60s, and us today, us born later, now have figured out that being a woman does not necessarily mean being a woman as a man in the workspace. There's the feminine, and I think that this goes for both men and women, that are the divine feminine side of us, or the divine feminine essence of us, has been suppressed or ignored for centuries and millennia, and therefore we, both as women and as men, do not know how to be in that space, not in the feminine way, not in the masculine way. That's so interesting. I don't know. Yeah, so that just came up for me. So you saw all these men, and the women wouldn't come, but I know that one of your your whole purpose is to basically transform the money consciousness for women. And I know that, I'm very, call it woo or spiritual, but I'm also, to me, I'm both spirit and matter. I'm both. I want to combine those. And so, tell me about your mission, your mission to transform the world, basically, because it's just a tiny thing.
It's just a tiny little world. It's a small
yes. just the whole world.
So just speaking to what you said about women in the 60s and 70s, because that will help me work my way to today's transformation and what needs to happen. Yeah. So I believe that, I'm a big fan of the chakras. Mm-hmm. They came from my religion, my lifestyle, my culture. So I believe that anything happening has to go through the 7 chakra levels, anything in the world. So if you think about the world as a whole, we're probably vibrating on 1st chakra level, the survival and just food and shelter, because while we live in first world countries, most of the world is third world, and they're suffering for food and money. So the world vibrates at a 1st chakra level. But we, in the developed nations, we're probably vibrating high 2nd, maybe early 3rd in that level. And I think money consciousness follows the entire world. So I would say the whole world is vibrating at 1st chakra level, very survivalistic as far as money goes. Yeah. But the first world countries are more higher creative and lower transformation end. So higher 2nd, lower 3rd. Okay. So if you take the women from the 60s and 70s who kind of stormed into the workforce and said, you got to take us as we are, because we're as good, if not better than you. Yeah. And here we are, deal with it. And we're going to open the gates for the girls coming behind us. They dealt with the workforce in a very 1st chakra level. So that means that when they dealt with the workforce, they dealt with everything else. They dealt with money and lifestyle at a very first chakra level, because you've got to do that in order to bust in through to the rest of the levels, right? So they were very survivalistic when it came to just acceptance. I'm here, accept me. That was all they could do. And so even with money, it was like, okay, I'm earning money, I'm putting it in my bank account, I'm spending it. It's still physical, it's tangible, it's first chakra all across the board. Because they went through a couple of decades of doing that, we got acceptance as a gender in the workforce, and now it's accepted that women do certain jobs better than men. But it's still considered that we don't do as well as the men because we're not compensated equally or better. So that's our job now. That's job of the next generation to get ourselves to be compensated equally or appropriately for whatever job we do. So we're now pushing ourselves into the second chakra level, and I would say even third. Second chakra is your creation stage. It's where you stop being so survivalistic around money and you start becoming more creative. You start thinking, you start harnessing your skills for the businesses on the side, or your artistic skill, you start doing something with that on the side while still holding your job and things like that. So you still do your first chakra thing, but you start putting a little bit of creativity into that. So that's second. Third is the messiest one, right? It's the level of transformation. It's where everything undergoes the sea change. And it's preparing you to get into the heart stage, right? Because you cannot get to love without the mess. You got to go through the mess to get to love. So third level. So that's where I'm focusing. My big focus is, if you're in the survival stage, you're there. You've got to want to move into 2 and 3. When you move into 2 and 3, that's the beauty in the muck. Like the lotus can only grow inside of dirt, right? So we're in the dirt and we're going to bring out all our inner lotuses. But second chakra is not messy. It's just mindset shifts. It's shifting your thinking from I'm surviving into I'm creating. Level 3 is, oh crap, what am I doing? Why am I here? And I just shut all this down and leave. That's level 3. And if you're thinking that, you're in the perfect place, because that's where you get the ultimate of clarity. That's what I want for women. I want everybody to go through that creative process, get out of survival, go into your creative process. And then when you're far enough in your creative process, the transformation will begin. And when you're going through the transformation, you actually see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's level 4. That's your heart space calling to you, saying, the good stuff is just at the end of this. So that's what I want for all women. I want all women to get to level 4. And I want to help them go through 2 and 3 to get to that. So that's the world transformation.
and I love how you're using the chakras with this, again, because it's so spirit and matter. It's not either or, it's both. And also when you mention how it's about going through it, you can't there's no way around it. And correct me if I hear you wrong, but what you're saying is also that as soul-driven, heart-based entrepreneurs, it seems that this is kind of quote unquote the natural journey. So if there is women or men, anyone listening to this, hearing this, then what I heard you say was like, you're in the quote unquote, even though you may be in the the muck right now, you're in the right space, because that's where you're clearing it. And what does that look like? So that's getting your finances in order. It's doing your taxes. What does it look like on a physical level?
I'm glad you asked that question, because I can speak to my personal journey. I'm in 3 right now. I'm in the throes of a deep level 3 chakra 3 transformative process right now. And that's really where that's really where your world starts expanding. And when your world starts expanding, things that don't serve you drop off. So let me give you a few examples of what it looked like. Before I started my entrepreneur journey, I was in level 1. And, and level 1 is defined by, it doesn't matter if you make $1,000 an hour, if you make $1 million a year, or if you make 10 grand a year. If you have to physically, so chakra 1 is all about physicality. If you have to physically show up to earn the money, you're in level 1. You can make $1 million. Tomorrow, if something happened to you, you couldn't show up at work, you don't get paid a dime. You're level 1, okay? You're level 1 of money consciousness. The moment you get to level 2, it's almost like you don't have to physically show up all the time, because your work will carry you through bit by bit. So that means you have an information product out there, or you have an assistant who does some of the baseline work, so you still get paid. You show up with your creativity. You're still going to do things you don't like, but you're going to show up. And that's where I was. That's where I was in level 2, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I had an office with 2 assistants, and I didn't have to show up every day because my creative process kept the money flowing in, but I had to show up for the critical things. Then I went into level 3, and to say I wasn't prepared for it is an understatement. The kind of transformations, because what happens is you start getting clients who start pushing all your buttons. And then because I don't believe level 2 is where the boundaries come in. Level 3 is where the boundaries come in. So then they start pushing the buttons, and then suddenly I realize I have to lay boundaries. My cell phone is not available to you on Sunday. I work Saturdays, but not Sundays, so don't call me on Sundays. And then, then beyond that, it became, my cell phone is not available to you at all. You call me between Monday and Friday, 9 to 5. That's it. Then it became, I'm only available for you on email, that type of thing. So you start getting those clients. So that's one side of it. Then employees. You'll start getting people in your life who are there to show you where you're not doing your best, or you're not functioning at your highest levels. And then they'll create some damage and leave. They'll quit and go. So you'll see that. You'll see outside events affecting your money. We had this property that was stuck in our hands for 4 years, and every dime of my profit was getting funneled into that. So I couldn't see the rewards of my business until we just sat down and said, enough. This is going. We're going to sell it at a huge loss, get rid of it so my business can get back on its footing. And there was a lesson for me there in money consciousness. There was a letting go lesson. There was a boundary lesson. So many lessons. So you're going to notice that factors close to you, outside of you, beyond your control, all start affecting your life and putting you through transformations that are painful. But there's nothing good that doesn't come without pain. And I've realized that this is the world we live in. So a level 3 transformation really looks like that. And it helps you just tweak your boundaries so much and gives you such a high level of clarity that you can do all the client avatar exercises you want. You can really do that. But whatever stage you can do that, I personally consider it a waste of time, because you know what I found? I found that with my client avatar is nice people who are professional and who are partnering with me in their money story and will take responsibility for their own money. That's who I want to work with. I don't care if you're a woman in your 40s with a Mazda and a white picket fence and 2 dogs. I don't care about that. It's based on something that I have learned over 3 or 4 years. That this is the kind of person that makes my heart and soul full.
And soar. And in what you're saying is also because one of my what is it, like one of my quote unquote, I want to say things, but one of the things is I don't believe that the universe is testing us in the way that if anything is testing us, it seems as though that there's a quote unquote evil or mischievous force behind it trying to test us. What I truly believe in is that we're being trained, we're being strengthened, and I know that is a choice whether you want to see it that way or not. But in what you're saying is that when we move into that level 3 or the chakra 3 of that, you're actually being trained so that you may move forward. And it's like a tuning fork, like anything that it's like you you know, again, it's not about, you know, high vibration or whatever, but it's about you become a tuning fork so that everything that's dirt will not, I don't want to, because I don't want to be like all, you know, unicorns and butterflies, but everything that is there for you to be, like, it's for you to transform it. All the dirt and the shit and whatever shows up so that you may transform it through you, through the work, and then through the strengthening of your boundaries. That is so spot on, I think, for you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. And so I know that I'm coming out of this level and moving into a heart space, because now I have dropped all the services that I would feel, like it's almost like a heart sink space.
Yes.
I dropped those services. I don't need to do them. When I get a new client on board, I'm looking for them to be my best client as much as I'm looking to serve them. So previously in level 2, a lot of times you've just got to take the client because it's a money deal. It's a cash flow thing. You just got to take the client in order to survive and build. You need money to build your business, to build your life. So in level 2, you've got to do a lot of things that don't fully align. But level 3 is what teaches you, because you're still going to do in level 3, you're still going to do stuff you don't want for money. But that's what teaches you what you need to let go of to get to level 4, because level 4 is all about heart space. You are so fully in heart space and so fully in abundance and ease.
Yes.
You're an unstoppable force because you're only doing what you enjoy doing. And so those are words that resonate very closely with me. I'm all about ease. It's got to be easy. Tax law is complex. My process doesn't have to be. My process is very easy. And my process is filled with abundance. It's all about, how do you feel when you come into my space? I want you to feel good, full, happy, taken care of. And there, every now and then, you know, my tax returns are not 100% correct. That's an impossibility. But if there is an error, we'll take care of you in that space too. So it's
and I want to speak to that, because I want to say that as a client, because I am a client of yours, the warm embrace, the soft landing, the sacred space that you create in your practice and in your business, and we're talking about taxes, you know, to be clear, for me was such a relief. It's and I hear it from when my clients land with me as well. It's such a relief. I don't know if you can hear right now, but the energy that we've, you know, accumulated is bringing up a storm. So you may be hearing the hail that's going on right now. But I just want to make sure that people understand that the space that you create, the warm, the sacred space, the soft landing that you create, and the loving space that you create is, again, with taxes, with you know, expenses and income and so forth, with real like factual stuff like Excel sheets and spreadsheets and stuff. It has been such a relief to find that someone who can do both, because again, relief is, and I think I've tooted your horn enough now, but so you've moved into the fourth space where it's heart space. Tell me more.
So first of all, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that.
I love you.
Feedback, because that's what this has to be all about.
Yes.
But I'm not fully in heart space yet. I'm headed there. I'm headed to the heart space where transformation never stops. You're going to keep coming back to level 3, because that's a solar plexus. Solar plexus, I feel, it's like it's the point, it's your center of gravity for a reason. It's going to be your fulcrum, where, you know, the upper, if people say the heart connects, I think solar plexus really is your central fulcrum. And when it comes to money consciousness, it is. It's level 3 is really where you're going to come back and keep revisiting, because you're going to have to find your personal power around a lot of things when you move between spaces. So heart space is all about just doing what you love and just being in the space of contentment and abundance every day. Of course, it's going to have its own little messes, but this is really feminine flow. So if you want to know which is the most feminine level, I would say this level 4 is the most feminine one. Level 3 is the most masculine one, because level 3 is where you really have to transform. You have to do mindset work. You have to do, you know, a lot exercise. You have to take care of your health, because that's what really elevates you into the very deep feminine space that's level 4. And from level 4, I feel level 4 and 5 are like this. They're really interlinked together. Because when you go into 4, you may find yourself automatically, because level 5 is a throat chakra. Throat chakra is all about alignment. So it's the alignment phase of money. And what I mean by that is level 4, you're going to find yourself in a space of abundance. Abundance means plenty, not just plenty of money, but plenty of everything. Level 5 is you're going to become a magnet. You're going to become an attractor. Level 4 is a generator. Level 5 is the magnet. And so you're going to be so fully speaking your truth and so fully aligned with who you are that money can't stay away from you. It's just going to be attracted. You're this big giant magnet that's just attracting everything towards your highest good. And I would say the large majority of the world, maybe 99%, will stop at level 5, because, you know, that's it. To take that leap into 6 is the influence stage. It's where money stops being money and it becomes power and influence. So you're talking political figures. You're talking people who can use, let's take a bad example. Let's take Harvey Weinstein and what he did in Hollywood. Well, he could be a corrupt force because he had money, right? Or you're talking about those political guys, I forget their names, but they're brothers. And they're behind the scenes.
The Koch brothers you were talking about?
Yes. They influence every U.S. election, even though they're behind the scenes, because money is now a source of power. It's a source of influence. It's a source of corruption. So that's what money becomes at level 6. Like the Walmart kids, Sam Walton's kids, they're all very powerful people, not because of their own right, but because of the money that they have, right? So that is a real level, which is, it can go good or bad. But if you stay on the right path, you're headed into 7, which is legacy. And legacy is where money stops really being a thing in your life. It's all about giving it away to make the planet a better place. So this would be like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Or Robbins International, Tony Robbins, who's alleviating hunger. Whatever money they earn, it's completely diverted into making the entire planet better. So you're leaving your money as your legacy. There's people like Mother Teresa and Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi whose legacy was themselves and their own personal power and the love that they had. Nothing to do with money. It was about them and what they brought to. That was the legacy they left. These big entrepreneurs, Richard Branson, Bill and Melinda Gates, they're leaving their money as their legacy. And it's, you know, I think they're all amazing people and just what they were able to achieve. So those are how the stages progress. So for most people, getting to level 4 is going to be a life journey. But that's what I wish for everybody, because really everyone deserves to live in their highest truth and their highest good. If you can take that up to level 5, and I would say like people like, you know, anyone who steps up there and speaks their truth, like Barack Obama, for example, is so level 5. Like he's very wealthy, and the Obama Foundation and all that going on. He's so much in alignment. Michelle Obama, so much in alignment. I would say Ellen DeGeneres, Oprah Winfrey's probably gone into level 6, maybe not. It's hard to tell, but they're all just when they open their mouth, only their highest truth comes out and nothing else comes out. And that's really the level that I think everyone should aim for. It's not always possible though, because it involves a lot of visibility and a lot of things which people may not want. People may be very private.
But do you think that it necessarily involves visibility? Because I would say that some of these people we might not even know. I'm pretty sure that there are plenty of billionaires with like a shit ton of money that we don't know about, who are like, you know, philanthropical and doing these things, but don't need the limelight.
And that could be the case. And I would still put them at level 4, because level 5 involves the throat. It involves speaking up. It involves activism. It involves, you know, it involves advocacy. It involves showing up in some kind of limelight. Even as it involves even showing up as community manager, like a person who manages a community in a nonprofit. You're still showing up at level 5 and speaking your truth, and you know, being a catalyst for a better world. So 5 sort of involves that kind of alignment.
And I would assume that each level, because even though you spoke about the heart being, you know, the abundant level, and 5 was the magnet, then I assume that with every level there is it sounds like it gets easier and easier, but I still suspect that there is, like, every new level comes with a different challenge, or a different challenge, I would say.
I'm sure that's the case, because I'm in 3, so I can't speak to it personally, but I'm sure in 4, the challenge of staying in your heart space and not sliding down into a lower vibration, I'm sure that's going to be like your biggest daily challenge. Or even when you go into level 5 and you're in alignment with your soul's highest purpose, you're going to slip out of alignment. You're going to have days where you're depressed. You're going to have days where you don't want to show up. You're going to have days where you're afraid. And like, will the world even begin to accept me as I am? Are they, you know, I'm sure, but, and the higher you go in the levels, the more space you have to hold. Because when I was in level 2, I had 200 clients. Now I'm here, I have 1,250 clients. So the space that I have to hold in this office is automatically 6x. And if I go into heart space and just serve the clients that I dearly love in multiple ways, maybe there's information products, maybe there's coaching, maybe there's taxes, accounting, and that becomes 5,000 people. Automatically, the kind of personal power I have to hold so that my business foundations are good, my team is happy, my clients are happy, my vendors are happy, that becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So yes, obviously, when you go into a stage of influence, or a stage like Tony Robbins, where he holds that hall of 5,000 people for 3 days nonstop, the kind of personal power you need to do that, I can't imagine. I'm sure there's so much of background work that's needed for that. So yes, I mean, it becomes, they look happier, but the amount of work to do that, it just increases. So.
And I think you touch on a very important subject, is that, and what I hear and what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's about expansion from within, because we cannot, and that's like the whole thing you started by saying, is that we have to go through the first, and then the second, and then the third, in order to continually expand and be able to host space for more. And so it's important to understand whether or not you're in the first or in the fifth, it doesn't really matter. It's about the space that you're able to hold, both for yourself and for others right now. Like, and it's about expanding. One of the things that shifted for me this year was the way that I pray or meditate, and rather than asking for things, I don't ask for things anymore. What I pray for is to be the person who can hold space for that. And so it becomes an internal journey, like an internal expansion, rather than, you know, I'm not asking for things from the outside in. I'm asking to become that person and really, because in truth, I am that person, but I do not see it. So it's about the unveiling. It's the lifting so that I may see, and then expand into the person that I already am, or the vibration that I already have. And that's That's dark work. I mean, that's deep work. I mean, for me, the transformation that I've undergone working with you in terms of my finances and the way that I view money is, you know, we've only just begun, and I can't wait to see where I'm at in 3 to 4 to 5 to 10 years from now, because of that wisdom that you possess and the ability to hold space for that is just, and I'm just glad that I found you. And I again want to say to everybody, jump on your ship now, because like if you're going to have 5,000 people soon, I want to make sure that I'm in the inner circle. I want to make sure that I'm there. How do you see how do you see in terms of the you know, because for me, feminine and masculine does not equate men and women. So how do you see, is it the same? Because for me, because I rarely use gender, I go more with again, the feminine and the masculine qualities that we all possess, but I am sure that there must be, like, I believe that both men and women struggle with the same challenges in terms of, because for me, the rising of the divine feminine that we've seen and see these years is for me as much a request for the divine masculine to rise as well. One of the pitfalls I see in terms of a soulful or soul-driven, heart-based entrepreneur is that we become so aligned and in tune with our divine feminine essence that we completely negate or suppress or ignore the masculine, because we've been so conditioned by the patriarchy, by the way that we've grown up. We've been so conditioned into what I call the shadow masculine or the hyper masculine, which is not, and that is for both men and women. That's the way that we've seen things. So we basically just say, oh no, thank you, to anything that quote unquote looks masculine. But to me, like the divine masculine is someone who is empowering, who is foundational, who is building, who is, as you say, managing, who takes care of quote unquote me, even though it's part of me. So I'm curious to know how, because I know that you've made like you said in the beginning that you noticed that how you had all these men coming in and the women wouldn't show up. So because I know that there's been a rise in female entrepreneurs as well. So what do you see? Like, what are the challenges? What do you see now? I assume that there's still women and men who don't want to look at it, who would just rather not. What do you like? What do you see? What are the challenges? Like, show us.
It's a great question, because I have so much to say on that.
Yes.
So, if we start with the examples we have out there, which are men primarily, men, you can't do male better than men. You can't do masculine better than men, because most men do hold the masculine energy. So you're not looking to do it their way, you're looking to do it your own way. So let's go back and look at people like Albert Einstein or Nikola Tesla or even Thomas Edison. And if we read back on their lives, Albert Einstein, the theory of relativity came in a visualizing process. It didn't come from a logical process. And there was a documentary on his life, and when I saw that, he was in dream space all the time. I call that flow. He was in complete flow.
Yes.
But the thing that men are able to do that I feel that we're yet to learn for ourselves is when they're in that dream space and they're in the feminine flow, they take that and they anchor it right down and they put it into a very masculine space, and they're like, okay, how am I going to bring this out into the world? How am I going to take this and convert it into something logical and objective that will benefit the world? Or how am I going to account for it? How am I going to, so they're able to take that and anchor it right down. We haven't developed that skill yet. So when we go into our divine feminine space, we think, we create, we have all these beautiful ideas. We've not learned to take them and anchor them right down and say, okay, let's convert this into masculine.
Yes.
So, and all the inventors, Thomas Edison, it took him 1,000 tries to create the light bulb. Once he did, though, General Electric was born.
Yes.
Right? General Electric, the huge company, was born from his 4 years of creativity. A huge company was born.
Yes.
My point is, how can we learn how to do that? So, I spin my own wheels, right? So it was easy to start the accounting practice because I was at a crossroads in my life where I had to do something, and this was easy. I just started it, and then it just grew and blew up into this beautiful thing that it is today.
Yes.
But here's the thing, that was a completely male, mental, objective process, which I didn't have to think about because accounting and money, we follow the male paradigms.
Yes.
But here's money consciousness now. It's an idea, it's a thought, it's rooted in divine feminine.
Yeah.
It's a very flow-based, heart-based thing that's here. And what has happened? It has taken me ages to even put up a website.
Yes.
Why is that? Why is that is it so hard to take, for us to take our own divine feminine anchored into masculine? So that's where we really need to maybe help each other out. I don't know what the answer to that is.
I just, the reason why I'm smiling so much, and the thing is because, you know, you just described what I do. Like my work as a spiritual business mentor, that is what I do. For some reason, and for years, I denied that side of me. I didn't want like to be this quote unquote, or to have this access to the masculine side of me. I thought, because, you know, as a woman, when you have a masculine side to yourself, it's being like you're too much, or you're being too driven, or you're being too pushy, or you're being too, but what I'm realizing now, and gladly my clients are realizing this too, is that that is what I do. I take what you like, what I anchor it, I support you. I don't do it, you know, I facilitate, I catalyze, I support you in anchoring that in. And I just want to say that I'm going to share your website in the show notes, and together with your services, and so people can go check that out, and can hopefully by the time this is up, maybe even buy, because I know that that's something that I've been tooting your horn for, as I really want you to share that. But I love how you say that about the anchoring in, and I think that yes, we are, because there is so much wisdom in women, and gnosis and things come, and only you have your experience, and that is unique to you. I'm sorry if I cut you off. It was just exactly the anchoring in is so important, and that's what I find is missing. I have these two personas. I have the lazy duck, or the headless chicken, and the, you know, the headless chicken is where where the hyper masculine or the shadow masculine is drying. We're just running around doing without access to our divine feminine. And the lazy duck is where we're so in touch with our divine feminine that we just sit and meditate and pray all day, hoping that things will land. And they don't. You gotta do that. You gotta do the combination of those two things, and marry those two. And that for me is the journey. That's the sacred marriage, the divine union, and so forth.
That's perfect what you said. If I can just say one more thing on that it's true. So as if we're consultants or coaches, I think that is what we really do, because the women who need help anchoring their feminine is why they go to find a coach. So the job of a coach is primarily a masculine thing. We may not be able to do that for ourselves, but we are able to hold that space. Because what do? I do my primary work is financial statements and taxes. Yes. Very, very, very masculine driven thing. But when women come soulful, heart-based entrepreneurs like you, they come to me with their money and and whatever they're going through at that point. My job is just to anchor that in and say, hey, it's not as hard as you think, you know, it's this easy, and let's just do this, and you've got that taken care of. Now you can go back to your own space and just, you know, just kind of call me every time you need that anchoring in. It's basically what we're all doing for each other in different fields. But in the money field, it can be especially scary because you feel stupid around money. People have told me they feel so incompetent around money. I'm like, well, that's okay, because nobody taught you money in school. They taught you how to add, but not money. It's okay. I can help you with that.
I want to mention to that, I want to speak to my own journey in terms of that, because I'm, you know, I used to be a key account manager. I have dealt with numerous spreadsheets and calculations of $1 million contracts. You know, I've done accounting, I've done bookkeeping, I've done it all. but touching my own money, my own stuff, was all of those things. I felt incompetent. I felt I'm not stupid, but I felt stupid, and I felt incompetent, and I was kicking my, and I'm someone who, like, I truly believe in heart and love and so forth. And this is an area where, and that's again why it was such a relief for me to find you, was you're someone who gets that, who is the same, just I don't want to say just, but with money, is that, and again, that's why I'm so excited and thrilled, not only to be sharing you on this show and podcast, but for you to be, shining your gift in the world, because the more of us that can do that, and I don't necessarily know if I want to go to the full, 7 levels, but I do want to share, not my gift, but I do want to be a transformation in the world. I do want to create a better world for all, and or be not me personally, but I want to be part of that. I want to be part of the solution and not the problem. And so the way that you do money, is extraordinary and powerful, and yeah. I'm looking at the time, and I wonder, do you have anything else you want to say about money consciousness? And I want to say that I will share your website in the show notes. I will share your whatever I have, and I want to have people go follow you on your Facebook, because you do some lives from time to time, which are outstanding.
And I will restart those. I had stopped those during tax season, but
yes.
I guess I just want to say that money consciousness is really, it encompasses everything that you do in your life, because you need money for so many different aspects of your life. Yes. So we as women just have to figure out how to help each other through it.
Yes.
And figure out our own way to do it. We do not have to accept the masculine paradigm, the male, not masculine, the male paradigm that's out there. We don't have to accept that. That is the way that a lot of men are comfortable doing it. We have to find our own. So I really am on a journey to talk to a lot of women to figure out the hurt and the wounding and the issues around money, so we can figure out what's our way of doing it. And we're in a unique space, in a unique spot of time where we can do that. Yes. So I want to do that, and I want as many women as possible to come with me on this journey to figure that out.
I'm in.
All right. Awesome.
Deepa, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for not only being here on the show, for simply existing. I know that we must have shared lifetimes before, and I'm grateful and thankful for every experience, every challenge, every issue that you have gone through to arrive at this stage in your life where you're able to hold space for this, not only for me, but for the thousands of people who you come into contact with and who you will support in your work. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It is a complete honor to be here to talk about this.
Thank you. That is what we have for you in today's episode of the Magdalene Voices. I hope it served you well. If you are listening to this via podcast, know that you can go to my website, mariaestela.com. That's mariaestela.com for all of the deeds and the details. Finally, I hope you will take a moment to either leave us a comment or review and share it with your friends on social media. God bless.